G'day cocktail lover, what can I get for you? Yeah, I was hoping you could help me. I heard it was Gin and Tonic Day in the US, so to celebrate properly, I want to know what is the best gin to put in a gin and tonic? Well, that's a subjective comment. I mean, remember when we talked about whiskey wankers on Whiskey Day? There's less of an issue with gin wankers, but I'm sure they're out there. But it comes back to the best gin for you is the gin you like to drink. So it doesn't matter what gin I use in a gin and tonic? Oh no, it can make a world of difference. There's so much diversity in gins. The different botanicals used in distillation, the different distillation methods. In Australia alone, there's more than 1,000 gins being made in hundreds of distilleries. And I mean, when you take into account all the distilleries in the rest of the world, there's probably at least 1,010 gins you can choose from. Oh, yeah, no, at least. So what gin am I supposed to be using? There are a few key styles of gin you can choose from. Well, like there's one that you don't really see much anymore called Old Tom. It's a sweeter style of gin, was more popular in the 19th century. But I did see a good tip from the basement bartender. If you want to replicate Old Tom gin and you have a modern gin, you could put just a splash of maraschino liqueur in your drink, and that adds that little bit of sweetness without changing the taste of the gin too much. You have a bartender locked in your basement? What? No! Is that what you took from that tip? No, the basement bartender is Dave. He has a YouTube channel. Lots of great tips and drink ideas on there. You should definitely subscribe to him. Oh, right. Like I'm definitely subscribed to you. Yes, and don't forget, give the video a thumbs up, leave a comment to let me know you were there. So this is more a YouTube thing than a bartender locked in a basement thing. Absolutely, I definitely do not have a bartender locked in my basement today. You emphasized a few of the words in there in a way that's really disturbing. Enough talk about basements, okay? Let's go back to gin. It's interesting you want to know about different styles of gin. I recently picked up a tasting pack from a local distillery, Brogan's Way, and it has 4 distinct styles of gin in it. And there's actually 4 of the more common styles. You can group gin a couple of different ways, and someone might argue with me saying these are 4 key groups. If someone really wants to obsess, we've stumbled upon the elusive gin wanker. But hopefully we don't come across any of them and we look at these gins. Like the first one is a common style called dry, often referred to as the London dry style of gin. The Brogan's Way dry gin, they call their every day. And dry gins tend to be juniper forward. Juniper's the central element in gin. All gins have to have juniper in them, but it's usually more noticeable in a dry style gin. Then you get the gins that are referred to as citrus forward or even fruit forward. Most gins have some fruit elements in the distillation, often dried orange peels used in the distillation. Brogan's Way have one where they've used a lot of Australian native fruit and berry elements to create that sort of citrusy feel for a drink. They call it evening light. Now when I say citrus, it doesn't taste like fruit juice. Think more the sort of aroma you get when you squeeze a citrus peel. That's the sort of flavor you get from a citrus forward gin. Then you get the more savory gins. Again, this is a relative term. A savory gin's not going to taste like salt water. Although some people do get saline notes or even spicy notes from the more savory gins. And again, with Brogan's Way, they've used some traditional spices like peppers and cardamom and things like that, along with some Australian natives to give just that slightly savory, slightly earthy feel to their more savory style gin. They call this one their Hearts Afire gin. Then you get your navy strength gin. So that's usually around 57% or even more with gins. You'll get some people who argue that's not a taste category. And you can absolutely make that argument, but the fact that the more alcohol tends to give them a very distinctive flavour. The Brogan's Way Navy Strength they call Royal Blood Gin, 57%, like I was saying, is common for Navy Strength gins. This has a bit of a crossover in flavour. It is quite juniper forward, like the dry. It's also got some savoury notes, like Hearts Afire, but it's its own thing. So which of these should I use in a gin and tonic? let's have a bit of fun with this. I'm going to make 4 gins and tonic for you, and I'm not going to tell you which is which. And I want you to taste test and see, based on those descriptions I gave you, if you can tell which gin is paired in the gin and tonics. And we'll do a blind taste test so you don't get to see which glass is put in front of you. I'm very bad at tasting notes. I never know the right words to use the way people who are like professional tasters talk. There's no right or wrong answers when it's come to which one you like. There is right and wrong answers in which one's which, and I will be judging you harshly. So let's see how you go. Okay, I'm game. I won't mess around. I'm keeping this fairly simple. This is not the way I'd normally serve a gin and tonic. I'm literally just putting the gin and the tonic over ice, and then I'll put them in front of you in a random order. Worried I'm just going to mainly taste the tonic, although that's quite nice. Definitely different to the last one. I'm not sure if I can articulate how though. This is the first time I think I've known straight up which one this is, but I'm probably wrong. Last one. Now I'm half cut from taste testing 4 gin and tonics, and I will say I don't drink much tonic water, so I think I tasted tonic most of all. They were all good. I could taste slight differences between them. My blind guess, I'm going to go citrus, navy, dry, and savory. Drum roll please. You got 1 out of 4 right. The only one you picked correctly was the navy strength gin. Honestly, the only reason I got the 1 right was when I brought it up to my nose, there was a stronger alcohol smell on it, so I guess that was navy, but 1 out of 4. Yeah, I am not a gin connoisseur. Having experienced the difference between just those 4 gins, now those are just some of the gins made at one distillery. When you take into account all the gin distilleries around the world, you can imagine how much diversity of flavour you can potentially get while it's still just a gin and tonic, a very simple mixed drink. There is so much to explore. And look, some people will go for the big brands, you know, Gordon's, Tanqueray's or whatever. I can see price being a thing in there, but in terms of taste, I don't like to judge too harshly, but buying those big brands is dumb as hell. They're so bland by comparison, because what those brands have to do is mass produce something that gives a consistent taste. Independent distilleries get to be imaginative and make the best tasting gins they can. So wherever you are in the world, I can't say this often enough, seek out a local independent distiller. Whatever your taste in spirits is, you're likely to find something really interesting and just broaden your horizons. And it's a fun thing to do, drinking in the name of supporting small business.